Hello again, everyone out there. What is debanking, and what does it actually mean to you?
Yeah. Well, we have seen big banks here, Bank of America most recently, decide to debank people based on their political beliefs or the type of business they're in or the candidate that they support for president. And so debanking means that, and this really happens, a big bank like Bank of America would tell somebody in one of those areas that they can't bank at their bank anymore, close their accounts, and not let them do business with their bank. So shut them out of banking at their bank completely.
Well, I'm glad that you led with that because that's the basis for the quick discussion we want to have here. Just for everybody's edification, thank you, Attorney General Bird, for coming on with us this morning. IFC and everybody out there appreciates you taking the time to spend with us. So thank you for that. I noticed here, I was alerted to this action by some friends that sent me this from Canada, or excuse me, Kansas. I'm going to I'm not going to live that one down easily. So my buddies in Kansas will remind me of that. Attorney General, Kansas Attorney General Kobach sent in a letter, and what was it, 24 or 25 states signed on with that? AG Bird,
Oh,
is that right?
yeah. Iowa was one of them. I can't remember. It was right about a good number of states that signed on to that one, taking a good stand and basically putting Bank of America on notice that we're watching them. And one of the most disturbing things about this debanking, it's being done by the big banks, and they don't give a reason for why they're doing it. They won't answer
Really?
questions for why they're closing the accounts. They just won't say. They just say you can't bank here anymore and shut those people out of banking. But they don't say why, but it's no coincidence that it's folks who are in the firearms industry, uh, supporters of President Trump, for example, people who are religious conservatives, the fossil fuel business area. Those are all areas that have been debanked. So it's no accident. I think we know what's going on here, and it's political discrimination. It's woke politics brought into banking, and we just want banking to be what it should be, which is just regular banking. Let bankers be bankers and keep the politics somewhere else.
Yeah. So I I know that you're probably not able to answer this, and if you're not, that's fine. I'm not looking for some sort of result from you. But when these things happen, it either comes down to, or at least it seems to come down to, this idiotic wokeism, or Uncle Sam is collaborating or putting pressure on these private entities to do this. Do we have any idea if which is at hand here? Because Operation Choke Point, you may remember that, was an Obama era program, and they basically worked with the FDIC and the what was it, the comptroller of currency, to make sure that lending institutions, banks, if you will, it bled over into card processors and insurance organizations, but basically said, we don't want you to do business with these people because we're going to call them high risk at a minimum, and we want to make life hard on them. And they literally did that for a long time until the Trump presidency came in and they got away with it, or were done away with it. So do we have any ties here to the Biden White House, or am I speculating?
It's really hard to say. I wouldn't say that I have personal knowledge of it because I've seen this coming at it from both sides. I mean, that the we know that the Biden White House is very hostile towards the Second Amendment. We know that to be true.
Yeah.
And we also see all these big corporations, whether it's big banks or other big corporate America, now engaging in woke politics. And so it's hard to say where it's coming from. I mean, I'd suspect, although I don't know, that it's coming from both directions.
Yeah, that's probably not a stretch. When we think about some of those things, and we think about wokeism and what it may or may not mean in cases like this, I do try to play devil's advocate. I want to make sure that I'm not in danger of drinking the Kool-Aid, right? So I want to make sure that I'm on firm ground. I have these discussions with some of my liberal friends from time to time, and they posed a good question to me, which I think that we can answer here. But what's the difference between Bank of America debanking people versus a baker saying, I don't want to bake you this cake because of because you're a gay couple or because I don't subscribe to what you're doing. And I think I know the answer to this, but can you help me with that?
Sure. And I think it's a really important thing that we should ask ourselves from time to time, because the principles of liberty and freedom that are enshrined in our Constitution, they apply to everybody, whether they're liberal or conservative, whether it's something that I agree with or don't agree with. And so it has to be something that is fair. We don't want to engage in discrimination against the other side in the name of doing what's right, because that wouldn't be the right thing to do. But here it's really apples and oranges. So a big bank telling a gun shop that they can't bank there anymore because of their politics, that's one thing. But then if you look at, for example, a baker who might choose not to bake cakes for same-sex couples because of their deeply held religious beliefs that they have as a baker about marriage, that's different, because you have two different sets of people's rights coming into play, right? You have the cake issue, but then you also have somebody's religious liberty and freedom. And it's a longstanding principle of our Constitution that people can't be forced by the government to just violate the dictates of their faith. You have to look at those rights and balance those. And in order for something to be allowed to have happen, there have to be some pretty serious countervailing interests on the other side. And so, that's the basic answer. Is this is very different. And Bank of America also here, they won't really say why they are debanking people. And we're just seeing that it's only one type of people who's being debanked, and that makes us very concerned.
Well, I think that you answered that better than I could. I dug and I delved into this so that would be prepared. And I went back and I read the letter that Kansas Attorney Kobach sent. And in the second paragraph, is it okay if I read it real quick?
Yes.
Okay, and he says, it's penned anyway. Unfortunately, Bank of America appears to be conditioning access to its services on customers having bank's preferred religious and political views. Now, I'm assuming that they don't put that in writing anywhere, but it's coming to the forefront. This is inconsistent with your bank's promise to uphold the highest standards of corporate governance and ethical conduct, including efforts to always do business in the right way for its customers. Well, you can't say that as a blanket statement and have it apply to all the customers and then not say, but actually go over here and say, well, I don't want to do this over here with these people, but our blanket statement is we're going to treat you well and we're going to work on your behalf, Mr. Customer. You don't get to do both. I mean, you can't go out with a slogan or a something in print like that and tell everybody this is how we treat everyone, and then not treat everyone that way. I think that's very simple, and it's a important distinction for us to make, because we have a tendency to get hung up on some of the arguments from the other side about what's right and what's wrong. Which is a core problem that you and I would recognize in our culture to begin with. There isn't moral consensus over what constitutes good and evil. Well, in what's going on here, I think that you guys, and I'm glad, AG Bird, that you're willing to sign on to this and be part of this, because you are drawing a line in this, and you are saying, remember what is good and evil here. And it looks like you're heading down the evil path, or you're doing something that's evil right now. Let's bring it back to something that's good. So thank you for doing this. Is there anything else that we should know, or IFC listeners and the people out here on the internet need to understand about what's going on here? I mean, how do we handle this? A, B, what do we need to know? And C, if we're affected, what options do we have?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, I know because you know a lot of people, and IFC, of course, is a great organization with a lot of good members. I think it's important that if you see something like this happening to you or a friend, whether it's debanking or insurance being canceled because you're a gun shop, not because of some legitimate reason an insurance company might cancel or change insurance, but where you suspect it's because of the business you do rather than your risk profile. All of those things are things that we need to know about. And so would ask Michael that they call our office and let us know what's going on, or call you if that's all right with you, if they feel more comfortable reaching out to you or another leader in Iowa, and then let us know what's going on, because we don't know what is going on unless people tell us. Because when Bank of America debanks somebody, they don't tell us what they've done. We only find out when that person or organization that's been debanked tells us what has happened. So in order to hold the line and to investigate and enforce the laws that we have here in Iowa to protect our people, first we need to know what is going on, what is happening. So whenever that's happening, it's really important that your listeners would document what was told to you, when it was told, how you were notified. Make sure you have all of that information, because information is the key here.
Fair enough. All right. Anything in parting that we need to handle before we go?
Oh, just that, you know, I think we all need to be aware of what the big picture is that we're seeing right now. And this administration really seems focused entirely on criminalizing people who exercise their Second Amendment rights. I really wish as a prosecutor, they would focus on violent felons and other prohibited persons who have guns and shouldn't. But instead, they're focused on all of the rest of us, trying to make it really hard and risky for someone to exercise their Second Amendment rights. And so that's the real danger that we are facing here today. You know, when you look at things like what they do on stabilizing braces, or you name the issue, they're trying to make it so that just an average law-abiding firearms owner might be in violation of some federal law that would implicate a felony. And that is very serious indeed. We can't have that happen, and we can't let that happen. We want to enforce the laws the right way and keep people safe, but law-abiding firearms owners, I mean, they're part of what we need in this country and in this state, and it's a freedom that we have guaranteed to us in our Constitution. It needs to be respected and protected.
I agree 100%. Thank you. I'm watching, I don't know if this is true, but I've read articles about things like Venezuela said, well, we'll take care of our hardened criminals in prisons that we're paying for by releasing them to go north into America. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's actually happened or not, but I'm reading articles that are saying that it is, and that people are pouring over the border through Mexico into the United States. That we're not talking about people who are folks that are seeking a better life, or that want to set up shop, pay taxes, work hard, integrate with their communities. That's not what we're talking about now. We're talking about some serious problems that are going to root themselves into America, and we're going to have to deal with for the rest of our born days. And I've got to tell you, this is not what leadership on the presidential level is supposed to be about, regardless of your political leaning. I mean, this is wholesale. It's wholly illegal, and I don't know why we're even tolerating this. I've got some very big problems with what the Biden White House is doing. So, thank you, Attorney General Bird, for your willingness to push back on this, to protect Iowans and beyond. You have our support. Thank you for your work very much.
Thank you.